girl's life we're talking about.
You know what, Rowena? You petitioned for custody.
Louise needs more love than just what her grandfather can give her.
What she needs is stability, especially now since she's lost her grandmother.
One of her grandmothers.
Alex Hudgens, BlackTree TV.
What? Yo, Tree be black. What's up, there we go. Wow, what you doing, them ghetto Pilates? Dang, you in it, huh?
Wait, ghetto Pilates? Ghetto
That's a Jaheim,
Pilates?
you know. Tighten up my body, working on my ghetto Pilates. You don't
This is
listen to
where this
Jaheim?
interview's going
Oh,
right
come
now.
on, Jaheim. That's the hood Al Green. I love Jaheim.
I don't even want to talk about the film now. I just want to let this go on forever. Okay.
Go ahead.
Speaking of hood. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I want to cut right to it,
Do it.
Anthony, because
Please
you have
do.
one of the most cutting lines in this whole film, and I wrote it down so
Do
I can
it.
get it word for word. You're a goddamn cliche. You validate everything the white community thinks.
Right. And that line is the reason I did the movie.
Seriously.
100%.
Please expand. Tell
You
me
have
about
two
this.
lines in this movie that are extremely important. You're a goddamn cliche, you validate what white people thinks, and it's not your first thought that makes you a racist. It's your second, your third, and your fourth. Those two lines, I feel, are the lines that everyone is stepping around and no one wants to talk about.
I want to talk about it.
And
Let's talk about
that's
it.
what frustrates me. We're in a position now in society, in this country, where no one wants to listen. The smartest person in a conversation is the person who listens. So when you talk about black or white, when you talk about race, when you talk about sexism, when you talk about homophobia, I think the most interesting perspective is to sit back and just let that person talk. Because there's nothing I can add to that perspective. And the great thing about this movie is you get the white perspective.
Right.
You hear what he's thinking. You get the black perspective. You hear what she's thinking. Octavia's dealing with a drug-infected son. He's dealing with the loss of his wife and alcoholism. Those are two huge topics
Real
that are
issues.
colliding with this little girl.
Right.
So, you know, it's frustrating to me that people take race and they make it personal. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Like we're at a loss in this generation. If you look at it in the 80s, Archie Bunker was a stark racist. Stark. If you don't know who Archie Bunker is, look him up. All in the Family, great show.
You heard him.
The Jeffersons, stark racist. Fred Sanford, stark racist. But you know what black people and white people did? They laughed. You watch 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. Both of them hated each other because he was black and because he was white. You know what they did? They laughed. And right now, we are in a society where we can't have a conversation because no one's willing to listen.
People are just shouting.
People are just
Whatever they
shouting.
think.
People are walking down the street, hashtagging everything, but no one's listening. No one,
Interesting.
white people, I truly believe white people don't have an outlet to express or question their views on race.
Because black people get too defensive about it, or because...
Because one...
Because it is personal to
I
some
don't,
people.
No,
I mean, it's a real thing.
It's very
Yeah.
personal. But the reality is this: if you're ignorant about something and you can't ask me a question, so you're not ignorant, how do you get better?
Fair.
So if you come to me and you're yelling, "Oh, I hate black people because of A, B, C, and D," then you're ignorant. You're a fool. I can't talk to you. But if you come to me and say, "Look, like my friends do, look, you're a black dude. I feel like I can talk to you. So I don't understand A, B, C, and D."
Right.
And we have those conversations.
real
We have
talk.
a glass of whiskey, and we have because I do the same thing about white people, Asian people, and Latino people. Look, I really don't understand
Right.
why.
And I think this
Yeah.
film, it does a lot of, the whole issue of like, are we coddling these kids like Reggie in the film who,
Right.
yes, the system is against them,
Right.
but they also do bad behavior
And-
that breed
And
stereotypes.
that's why it's important. That's why it's important to have that conversation. No one wants to talk about perception when it comes to racial profiling. No one wants to talk about stereotypes when it comes to racial profiling. This is what I know. I'm a certified scuba diver. My first day of class, they told me this: when you're in shark-infested waters, everything in that water is considered a threat until proven otherwise. If it's a guppy, it could be a shark until you know it's a guppy. And I think as black men, we need to realize we're in shark-infested waters. And if we don't sit our young men down and we don't talk to them about perception, if we don't talk to them about stereotypes, we're doing them a huge disservice. Because if the police pull me over, prime example, I got pulled over by the police, come over to my window, flashes light in my face, hand on my pistol. I can handle that two ways. I can start yelling and screaming and tell him he a racist and he don't know me. You doing this wrong. Or I can say, yes, officer, no, officer, are we done, officer? and both of them are going to have drastically different outcomes. Because what happens with young black men, everything is susceptible to the question of your manhood. And what's going on in these streets ain't got nothing to do with my manhood.
Interesting.
If I'm gonna fight a police, I'm gonna fight him in a controlled environment, a court of law. I'm not gonna fight him on the streets.
But then what happens when we have these incidents that happen, you know, maybe we've got differing evidence. We don't know how it escalated to what happens,
Right.
and then we don't ever get to the court of law.
And that's the problem.
How does that
That's
work?
the problem. Because now we're in a position where you can't fight your battle because we are relying on evidence. We can't get your truth. As a black man, your job is to make sure your truth is heard. That's it. So if the police want to wild out, I promise you, if you sit back, yes, officer, no, officer, if I'm wrong, arrest me, officer. Are you talking back? No, sir, officer. Why are you being aggressive? This is not aggression, officer. If it escalates past that, there's nothing you could have done anyway. All cops aren't bad cops. 99% of cops are really good dudes and women. 99% of the people I've met that are cops are dope. I have a lot of friends that are cops. But that 1%, that's the problem. And you want to give yourself every opportunity not to end up a statistic. And not saying you're doing anything wrong, not saying the cops are wrong, not saying you're wrong. But you have to realize the position that you're in. As a beautiful young lady, you have to realize the position that you're in. And you have to do everything to make sure you make it home at night. That's what my daddy taught me. And I think that's what's so important about this movie. If you look at Octavia Spencer's character, the way she deals with her son, if you look at what I say to Reggie about him being a stereotype of what white people want to think, certain people want you to justify what they view you to be. And you can't give them that right.
Take their power, but not doing it.
100%.
Woo, we could do this all day.
BlackTree.
Thank you. Thank you. Taking the